All right, welcome back to Dad's Coffee Break. My name is James, and today we are taking a break with Kingdoms Reborn. Today I am actually going to be playing Kingdoms Reborn on brutal difficulty. Part of the reason I want to do that is one, just see how hard this game actually gets. I mean, how hard can it be? And the other, see if the increased difficulty can actually bring about more engagement from the AI. Now, my hunch is that the answer is no, mainly because of this note right here that states that the AI still needs work. But I want to see if there's more engagement there. I want to see if there's a more back and forth when it comes to the military aspect of the game. Because the last time we did it, we literally just went in, clicked the button to vassalize each city, and we didn't even have to look at it. It was done within a matter of minutes. Um, each city fell pretty dang easily. So today I want to take a look, see how brutal difficulty is on this game, and see if we can't get some sort of engagement from the AI, and see how the resource management aspect of this is changed up as well. So I'm going to go ahead and start a new game. Go ahead and set it to brutal difficulty, 8 players. Everything else I'm going to leave as a medium. And start game. Alright, the Great Freeze has left civilization in ruin. Very few were strong enough to withstand the cold and plague that claimed the earth. Decades have passed since the frost took our lands, and our courage and hope have returned with the melting of the ice. Falls to us, we surviving few to rebuild a flourishing civilization. Got it. Okay. Cool. Alright. So one thing that I learned in the last game, and if I was going to do some sort of tip series on how to get started in Kingdoms Reborn, is really select a starting location with resources that you're going to be able to take advantage of right off the bat. There's a lot of resources out there where, yes, you can build a farm. Yes, you can start to collect maybe some of the raw resources. I'm looking at you, Coco, but it's so late in the game before you actually get to be able to use that it doesn't really make it worthwhile. So what I typically do is I go for a start location that, one, has a lot of buildable land, has a lot of fertile land, and then ideally also has either coal or iron. Coal is great because it works with a lot of different resources, and it can be used as a heat source. Iron is great because you can sell it and it makes quite a lot of money, and you get access to it pretty early on in the game. Resources like cocoa, you're not going to have access to, um, or at least you're not going to be able to make chocolate until much later. I think you need about 54 level 4 houses, which in my last playthrough, I was actually done with the game before I unlock that. So really, you want to avoid some of these resources that you're not going to be able to take advantage of. The other thing you want to keep a lookout for are AI players on your same continent. Last playthrough, I vassalized everybody within the map, which is great. They give you a small bonus to income each month, but really one of the biggest benefits was being able to build a trade route to them. So those that are on the same continent as you can actually set up inner town roads, I believe is what they're called, in order to establish trade routes. So keep in mind where other cities are when you're placing down your first map, or when you're placing down your first city. If you're just starting out the game, one thing that I recommend is avoid desert, and also avoid some of this drier grassland if you can manage it. Reason being is you want a lot of locations to, one, be able to farm, and two, be able to grow trees and harvest them with a forester. So location like this, location like these, those are prime for being able to supply yourself with enough wood. And really, in my last playthrough, wood was one of the most critical resources that I came across. I mean, wood powered your military, wood powered mushroom farms. It powered paper mill. It's used for a lot in furniture. It's used for a lot of different things. So if you're first starting out your game, take a look, find an area where you can actually plant down a forester and be able to harvest a lot of wood. Rivers are good too, not as critical, but the benefit of rivers is that the land around rivers is always going to be fertile. It's always going to have a high fertility rating, and you'll be able to actually um, mine or dig out clay near a river as well, so you can make bricks. Now, bricks, in my last playthrough, I didn't use bricks all that much. I was actually able to just import the bricks I needed, and it was pretty easy. But if you set up an economy around bricks, you should be able to export them for a decent amount of money and take advantage of them that way. Now, looking at the map, as far as places go, I'm actually really liking this one that I've been zoomed in on for the most part. Um, See, this wouldn't be bad because you have a lot of low area, or flat area anyway, where you can build up your town, be able to harvest wood, and you still have access to a couple of different mountains in order to export stone. Here's not bad as well. You actually get access to cannabis and iron and coal, but there's not as much building area, and you're pretty close to row hall. And the other thing is you only have a row hall there in order to set up a trade route with. Yeah, you know what? I'm actually going to start, I think, right in this valley right here. Reason being is that I'll have access to a lot of the trees over here that I can harvest. I'll be able to set up maybe even a secondary forester down here to be able to plant trees and bring in more wood. I'll have access to the coal and iron that I can eventually extract and export. I'll have this river here where I can actually set up farms and maybe even a clay pit. And then if in the late game I really want to, I could come down here and actually gain access to this desert province and this gold mine, which would be extremely lucrative. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to go ahead. This right here actually doesn't look too bad. Fertility percentage is only 42%, but that's fine. I think all this land right here is going to be fertile, so I'm going to go ahead and select that as my starting location. Confirm initial in, that's fine. Okay, so here is my town, Dad's Coffee Break. I'm going to go ahead and actually, if you click on your town, you can actually go ahead and edit the town name. I think our last town was Goblet or Bali, so I'm going to go ahead and just put that as the name. Right now we have 18 citizens, 14 adults, 4 children. That is just fine. And our income is about 10. And we have this empty policy card slot here. So we don't have any policy cards now. We're not going to worry about it too much. But what we are going to do is start to really plan out how our town is going to look. And things that we want to take into account are things like housing, fishing and trade ports, and then also buildings for production. One of the most important things about a town layout I found is where you're placing your housing. Because a lot of the buildings like the tavern, the bank, the school, they all have modifiers based on being near houses. And so you want to lay out your town in a way that maximizes the amount that you get from those modifiers. So really we want to put all the houses in a relatively the same area if we can. The other thing that we should do is actually look for a separate area for your production buildings, because there's actually a negative modifier if your house is near some sort of production building. So that's something to keep in mind. The other thing that we want to take a look at is trade posts, or I guess maybe not look at, but plan for, or trade posts. Reason being, typically the trade port is the better of the two buildings. If you have a trade port versus a trade post, trade port actually allows you to trade more in terms of units. I think you can get a max of 480, whereas the trade post is only 300. And then if you have trading companies, they get an added benefit being near the trade port. So you want to set up a region where all of your trade ports are close together and all your trading companies are right next to them. So what I'm thinking I'm going to do is really reserve this coastline for that trade post, trade company, trade port area. I'm also going to pepper in some fishing lodges. I think maybe 2 or 3 along the coast here, because beauty of fishing lodges, they're great for starting out, doesn't take any input, and you can go ahead and put down as many of these and have food automatically coming in. Those and the fruit gatherer's hut. In addition to that, I am actually going to start to expand our area here. I'm going to actually claim. There's a lot of fruit trees over here, and I do want to take advantage of this land here for 1, farming, and 2, building out our town. So I am actually going to come over here. I think we'll just go here for now. Go ahead and buy up that. Here's the iron, here's the coal. We can eventually expand down that way, but I think I'm going to grab this province right here, because that's going to open up this whole area for me in order to expand it into. Okay, and we just got a starting card. We have option of trading post, investment, and wheat seeds. Right now, we don't have much to actually trade. And anything that we do have, we actually should keep because we need to put it towards our own town. So what I'm thinking is I'm actually going to go for investment here. Give us a modifier card that we can plug right into our town hall. And we get another starting card. So I'm thinking iron smelting, we don't have access to the iron mine yet, and we're not going to get access to it for quite a while. So I'm thinking we'll probably not go for that. Cabbage seeds, again, I'm not going to, it's going to be a little bit of time before I can actually unlock that. And then I'd actually probably go for wheat first, just so I can, 1, gain access to beer, and then 2, turn it into bread. So I'll hold on cabbage, and then I'll probably just go ahead and grab this productivity book. So the colonists are going out. We're going to build up that fishing lodge. And it says housing is too far away. And you'll notice that there's housing icons above all of the colonists, meaning they don't have a place to live. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm actually going to build out some of our town and some of the housing. Okay, so I came in here, queued up some houses. Let me actually turn on the dirt road icon, because this is actually going to show it much more clearly. So what I did was I laid out the town almost in a grid-like fashion. I guess not almost in a grid, like in a grid-like fashion, with houses mainly on this side. I will leave most of the space up here for, like I said before, trading posts or trading ports and trading companies. But I did want to group houses together, maybe even some up here if I can fit them as much as I can. I might bring some houses down here and then expand out this way. Again, reason being, things like the school, things like the bank, tavern, they're all going to give benefits based on housing proximity, and you want to be able to place them in a place that's surrounded by as many of those as possible. So placing houses up here, down here, and going into this land area down here, I'm probably going to have production buildings, especially since they'll be close to the iron mine and the coal mine. And then I even built a bridge across here to gain access to these fruit trees. If I go ahead and click like that, you'll see it. To gain access to these fruit trees. And my plan for this area is to build a forester and a fruit harvester. Okay, we have access to our first tech. And what I'm going to do is actually get improved wood cutting. Like I said before, one of the most important resources that I found is wood. So having as much wood as possible, having a constant supply of it is key. Okay, so what I'm going to do for my first guard is actually buy a forester, buy a hunting lodge, and a fruit gatherer. Yes, you can buy all 3 at once, which is nice. And this will allow us to get our kind of production area started over here. Okay, and then I also went ahead and put down my forester, my fruit gatherer, and my hunting lodge all over here. Hunting lodge is going to be the most effective away from town where there's a lot of animals. You'll see them highlighted here. Fruit gatherer, you know, kind of goes without saying where there's a lot of trees, a lot of fruit trees specifically. And then forester, I just put it in an area that's going to be able to capture all of this fertile land. And as they go through, they'll prioritize planting fruit trees, so they'll be able to work in tandem with this fruit gatherer. I think for my next set of buildings that I'm going to buy is probably just a fishing lodge at this point. The other thing that we could get is a mushroom farm, but I want the wood in order to construct as many buildings as possible right now. So what I'm going to do is probably just put another fishing port down right here. So we have that down. It's going to bring in some more food. You'll notice that we're actually out of storage space, and we also need a fuel reserve. So what we need to do is build extra storage space. Namely over here, you'll see that they're actually requesting storage nearby. So we'll build some storage over here. And then once that's down, fuel reserve will start to equal out because we all have the forester bringing us logs. And I'm actually going to get mining equipment. I think we'll actually see benefit from this sooner. But then we'll also need a house over here in order to make everybody happy. All right, and I also teed up some of these trees to be cut down around here. Mainly we're cutting these down because one, we need the fuel source, and two, this is really going to be our area to expand our town, not necessarily where our foresters need to be. They're going to need to be over here and expanding and taking advantage of all the fertile ground over here. As a result, we actually unlocked our house upgrade tree, which is shown here, which gets you access to different luxuries and different buildings that you can use, including like the archer's barracks, the library, buildings you need for baking. So we'll explore that more in depth in the next episode. I think for today, guys, I'm going to go ahead and call it a day, but we do have a good start to our town here, Gobletter Bali, in Kingdoms Reborn on brutal difficulty. So I hope you guys are enjoying the series. If you are, please like, subscribe, so you can stay tuned for the next episode. And I'll try to explain as I go along as well. It's kind of nice to be able to think aloud. But with that, guys, hope you all are doing well, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.